Alright guys, what's up? So in this video, this is part 5 now of the wholesaling step-by-step blueprint free course on YouTube. And thank you for watching until this part 5 video. I know it's a long series, but I just can't put all of them into one video, otherwise it gets really long. And I'm sure a lot of you will get bored. So thank you for following me if you have been until part 5 of this series. And I know in part 4 we talked about, how to calculate ARVs, how to figure out the max offer that you want to give to the seller. And really now in this part 5, this is where we dive in and really go into how to go ahead and cold call and actually contact these motivated sellers. So hope you guys enjoy this video and let's just get right into it. Alright, so this is probably one of the biggest questions that I get asked almost all the time, which is how do I go ahead and cold call people, right? And a lot of times you're like, well, I don't know where to begin. Like, where can I find a script? So a script is really important, I would say, when you're first starting out and when you're first cold calling people, so that you can go ahead, expand your business, and you want to hire people so that you're not the one cold calling all the time. You can go ahead and give them tips and negotiation tactics so that they can go ahead and get properties under contract a lot more efficiently than they would if they're just left alone in the dark. So cold calling is a very good skill to have when you're going through, wholesaling real estate. And the best way that you can get started is you can get something called a power dialer, and there's softwares that actually do this for you, so you can call multiple phone numbers at once. And there's a few different ways that you can go ahead and do this. One, you can obviously go ahead and call on your phone. Two, you can use a power dialer like I just mentioned. And three, you can hire someone to go ahead and cold call for you, or either send texts out or do ringless voicemails. Again, that's more of an advanced stage, but when you're just beginning and when you're just starting out, you can stick to one of these first two. Obviously, the second one, you're going to have to invest a little bit of money. The third one, you're going to have to invest a lot more money. But if you want to see results quicker and you don't mind spending that investment, then you might want to start with number 2, or you might want to start at number 3, where you go ahead and hire people, or you can just have a power dialer and call yourself. Again, but these softwares are not free, so you're going to have to pay for them, right? But if you want to see results quicker, it may be something that you might want to do. So right off the bat, some of the softwares that I know that you can use for cold calling, one of them is Mojo Dialers. It's something where you can use a power dialer. I believe a lot of people use that. You can also use a lot of integrated softwares. If you use Podio as a CRM, a lot of them integrate with Podio too. So smartphone.io is one of the very first tools that we use when using a phone dialer. And another one that you can also use is something called Air Dialer, and that one is also pretty good. And you can also go ahead and do multiple phone calls at once. But you should do your own research. If you type in power dialers on Google, you'll find a lot of them. So go ahead and do your own research. These are a few that I know of. But it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, they do the same things. Just make sure it integrates with your CRM and any other software that you use, so that it's easy for you to go ahead and say, okay, so I'm going to integrate this, make sure that all the phone calls and everything are going to be, pretty much recorded in your CRMs, and it all talks together so that your system is built correctly. So that's what I would recommend. Sorry, my mistake. The other one was called aircall.io. So I know this is something that a lot of people use as well. And you can see it says power dialer. They have a lot of integrations. They have a lot of different types of features that you can use so that you can go ahead and make your calls the most efficient as possible. And you can see you can call, comment, assign it to people. So when you do go ahead and expand and hire people, you can go ahead and assign contacts to those people. And you can even warm transfer. So that's something I didn't know. I've heard good things about AirCall. This is something that we were thinking of using. But again, as a power dialer, it could be very useful. And you can see there's so many more. Phone burner, Call Hub.io. There's just so many. It doesn't matter which one you use. Just make sure that you use one that works for you. So the next part is the cold calling script. And really for the cold calling script, you can really type it out on Google, cold calling scripts wholesaling, and you'll get a bunch of results as you can see here. And you can just click through and see which one works for you and which one you think is going to be the best when you're going to go through and give a phone call. And obviously you're going to be adjusting and taking things in and out of the script based on what works and what doesn't for you. And I highly recommend that, but really the skeleton, the base of it really stays the same. So if you go ahead and click a lot of these, the cold calling script is more or less going to be the very same. You know, it's going to be very, very similar. So you can see one of this is here, and you can see cold calling script on the next page, whatever. So you can see here, it says, if they say no, then this is what you should say. If they say yes, this is what they should say. And this is what a cold calling script should be. This is kind of a bland cold calling script. You can have it a little more refined and efficient. But yeah, go ahead and look through. So we actually built our own cold calling script over here. As you can see, if you guys want to use it, I'll link it down in the description box below so that you can go ahead and download it. I'll give it out for free so that people can go ahead and use it. It's really not that different from things that you find on Google, but if this helps, I'm more than happy to give it out. So I'm gonna just drop the link down below, and I hope this helps you guys a little bit. So now that you have the script and now that you know what to go ahead and say to the sellers, now the next part for you is to go ahead and make sure you ask that information, you get that information from the seller as much as possible. Again, that's going to help you get the max offer, and I've already explained this, you know, how to get the max offer and how to get that price to offer to the seller in my previous video in part 4. So if you haven't seen that yet, go ahead and check that out. But now that you know how to go ahead and go and get that max offer, once you get all that information from the seller, then what you need to do is to make sure that you close, right? And I know closing can be a little tough if you've never done it before, but really it's in the script too, but really you just need to say, hey, so this is what I can offer you. We can do as is closing. Are you interested in selling your home and for this price? And if they say yes, great. Now, once they accept your offer, this is where the real work begins, right? And this is going to be the most exciting part because they said yes, and this is your time now to then send a contract to them. All right, so well, before we even get to that, congratulations if they said yes. It's pretty hard to get to that point, and it's a numbers game, right? So it takes a lot of trial and error to get to that point, and you have to contact a lot of people to get something under contract. But anyway, now that you got someone to say yes on the phone, the next part is to get that on writing, and you need to send that contract. So there's a few softwares that I would recommend. Some of them are ones I've used before, some of them are not, but again, it's completely up to you. All these softwares, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I should pick this one, or I should do this one. They essentially all do the same thing. So just pick one that works for you, that integrates well with your system, like I always say, and make sure to go ahead and make it really refined so that it fits with your system. All right, so the very first contract sending software that I've used was called HelloSign. And it can be really, really cheap and affordable for you when you're just getting started out. And it's very, very simple. It's a Dropbox company. It's really simple, and it doesn't, break the bank to use. So you can see it's about $15 a month. I think anyone can, afford that when starting out. I think they even have a free trial. I'm not 100% sure, but you can go ahead and ask that for it. Yeah, right here, HelloSign free. And pretty much you can go ahead and send contracts through HelloSign to that seller. So when you're doing that, so make sure that you get their email address so you know who to send it to, and you're gonna need to make sure that you are sending it, pretty much on the same day or as soon as possible so that they get it in their inbox and they sign straight away. That's really, really important. Obviously, another software that's really, really popular is DocuSign. I'm sure a lot of you have already heard of it. You can send contracts through DocuSign. I mean, again, it does the same thing as HelloSign. I think DocuSign is a little more intricate. They have a lot more API plans, and they have a lot more things going on in DocuSign. They may even have specific things for real estate, so you can see real estate plans and pricing. But again, I think it's a little more expensive than HelloSign, so that's why we didn't go through with DocuSign when we first started. But again, it's totally up to you what you use. They usually do the same thing, unless you're, you have crazy like integrations, collaborative fields, whatever that you want to do. You can, you can reinvest and do that later. But in the beginning, I think it's fine just to go with, the cheaper option that actually works. And just to give you another option, PandaDoc is something I've used as well before. This is another document signing tool that you can use. It's pretty cool. But yeah, this is another one. It might be a little bit more expensive than HelloSign again, but you can go ahead and use this as well if it works for you. All right, so if you remember from I believe it might be 2 of the wholesaling step-by-step course on YouTube, that's when I showed you how to go ahead and find purchase and sale agreements and assignment contracts as well on Google and through title companies and whatnot as well. And so this is when you utilize it. So you get the purchase and sale agreement contract, you upload it into a software that you like to use, whether it be HelloSign, DocuSign, PandaDoc, it doesn't matter. You would upload that, make sure all the fields are entered correctly, and then once you made sure that all the price that you negotiated is there and you have you and the seller's signature on the contract, then you are good to go ahead and send it over to them. So that's why that part was really important. So you have that already set and ready, and all you have to do is upload it to one of these signing softwares so that you can go ahead and send it to the seller. And when the seller signs, I'm sure it's going to be a great feeling for you. This is your first deal that you got under contract now officially, and all you have to do is sign it on your end, and now you have to give it over to the title company or the closing attorney, however your state or city operates. And once you give it to them, they're going to facilitate the transaction. So once you send the contract to the title company, depending on what you agreed with the seller, if they ask for an EMD, which is an earnest money deposit, they might have asked you for that. So what that means is an earnest money deposit is a deposit that goes towards the property at closing. So usually it's anywhere from $500 to $1,000. We've done it where it's like $5,000 before if we know for sure it's gonna close, but usually it's like $500 or $1,000 to show the seller you're serious, and that if for whatever reason you back out after the inspection date, then that $500 or $1,000 EMD will be non-refundable, and the seller gets to keep that $500 or $1,000, right? And no one wants that happening, especially for a wholesaler. So you want to make sure that you read that contract. But if there is an EMD, which 99% of the time they're going to ask you to put that in the contract, then what you can do is most of the time in the contract it says you need to send the EMD within like 3 to 4 days. You can obviously change it to make it like 7 days, so hopefully you can find an investor by then, so then that way they can put an earnest money in for you, and pretty much you don't have to put it in, and that way the investor has their earnest money and the seller has that earnest money in the title too, and you don't have to put any of your own money as well. But if you do want to send in that EMD, you can't find a buyer within that inspection period or the EMD send-in period, then you can go ahead and do that as long as you back out before that inspection period, which might be 7 days, which might be 10 days, 15, whatever you put in that contract. If you back out before then, you can still get that earnest money returned back to you. And it's like nothing ever happened. So a lot of people are scared of contracts and whatnot, but that's really important. Know your inspection date or your inspection period time, because in that time you're able to back out, and you're able to back out without any repercussions. But anything after that time, you may have to move forward with it, or you might lose your EMD. So that's just something to keep in mind, and make sure that you understand your contract. And if you get it from your title company, or if you get it from an attorney or whatever, ask them and try to get them to explain to you how the contract is structured, so that you are very, very well informed about that. But that's pretty much it for part 5. Hopefully this was really helpful. Hopefully you know now what softwares to use for cold calling. how to get that under contract, what signing softwares that you can use to go ahead and send that contract. And hopefully by this stage you have one property under contract. So, and if you do, congratulations, and I hope that, again, this video was really helpful. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.